Let's have another quick chat about quartz. Hi, welcome back to Not So Obvious Watches. I'm Pete McConville. Look, best laid plans, mice, men, all that sort of thing. I had no intention of talking about quartz right now. I was going to do another video about it a bit later, but I figured Adrian at Bark and Jack just did a big video on this sort of thing. He'll probably get a whole bunch of views. I've got some thoughts on it, so I may as well jump in now. And you know what? If I can surf someone else's wave for another view or two, why not? Okay, so Adrian asked the question in there, why is it that enthusiasts kind of struggle with quartz? This is a topic I sort of touched on about a year ago. I did a video about what I could sense was the rehabilitation of quartz, how we in the enthusiast community were kind of becoming more comfortable with quartz as long as it was being used for a purpose. And in there, I think I spoke about like the Breitling Emergency or the Longines VHP or a G-Shock or say the Grand Seiko. I've actually been thinking about that a little bit more, and I've got my new theory on how we generally look at watchmaking across the board, but in particular how that works for quartz. I read a quote recently that got me thinking about this, and it basically said that the game is any otherwise easy activity made difficult by the imposition of arbitrary rules. And we enjoy games because how people play with those and deal with those otherwise arbitrary rules tells us a lot about ourselves and other people. So golf is absolutely boring if you're allowed to just walk up and drop the ball in the hole. If you've got to use a club and hit it and walk, it becomes hard and it becomes interesting. Basketball would be the most boring game in the world if the hoop was 1 meter off the ground and 2 meters wide. That it's, 2 and a bit meters in the air and it's only about this wide is what makes basketball interesting. The size of the hoop and its height is totally arbitrary, and it's the arbitrary nature that makes the game interesting. And that's where I think quartz struggles. It's a cheat. Quartz makes the game uninteresting. It makes the game too easy to be a watchmaker. And if you like, the Casio, is it the FW? I'm not a Casio guy. It's the FW90 something, which gives you a super accurate, super easy to use, using every measure ever done in the past, chronometer grade watch for like $15 shows just how much of a cheat in the watchmaking game quartz can be. And yet, maybe the reason why some quartz can come back into the game is because they apply different rules. So you get something like the Breitling Emergency that uses the Breitling Emergency or the Longines VHP that use the ETA Super Quartz, thermally compensated, blah, 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 5 seconds per year, not 5 seconds per day, but 5 seconds per year kind of accuracy. And you go, you know what? In that case, quartz isn't a cheat. Yes, the hoop is 2 meters wide and only 1 meter off the ground, but we're now trying to throw that in from 50 meters away. That's an interesting game again. You're not cheating like you would be if you were saying, okay, I'm going to compete with a mechanical watch but use a quartz. There's kind of like no competition there. The game's uninteresting. And it's the same with the Grand Seiko 9F movement. And if you want to know about all the things needed to do to get the ball in a hoop that, yes, is 1 meter off the ground and yes, is 2 meters wide, but you're going to do it from 50 to 100 meters away, go look at Adrian's video, and it will show you the lengths you need to go to make it that accurate. Likewise, with something like a G-Shock, you can say, okay, yeah, telling the time is easy, but now the trick that he's done, the trick that G-Shock's done to make that Quartz dunk interesting is to say, I'm going to do it while while an NFL like nose tackle is going to try and take me down. I'm going to do it whilst I'm trying to engage in a rugby scrum. Now let's see me put that ball in that hoop while someone really big and really scary is pounding my head into the ground. Again, we can use and we can understand and we can appreciate Quartz in an environment like that, because while they've made one part of the game easy, they've made another part of the game really, really hard. So I think if we can understand, and maybe this spills across into everything, maybe it's one of the reasons why I don't particularly value the development of an in-house movement these days, simple three-hand workhorse movement, I should say, is because like in 2020, I don't think that's much of a dunk. That's not much of an achievement. It's pretty straightforward to do. So it's not really a part of the game I'm particularly interested in watching. I'm much more interested in what I think are the hard parts of the game, the parts of the game that are really difficult to do. I would note that in the early days of Quartz, when it was hard, when it was tough, when we didn't know how it would be done, there was none of this snobbery about Quartz. In the early days when it was hard and Quartz watches were expensive, and they were expensive, then Patek had, I'm pretty confident Patek had Quartz. I know there were Quartz Royal Oaks. I know Rolex did Quartz. Most other people did. In the early days, Quartz didn't have any of this kind of snobbishness attached to it. Only when it became easy did that arise. And that's kind of an interesting spin, and I think it reinforces my view. What are your thoughts? What do you think it is today in 2020 that means that some Quartz watches get acceptance, some don't, and what is it that drives you in that mind? Anyway, I've been Pete McConville. This has been Not So Obvious Watches. If you like this thought, smash that like button. Isn't that what I'm supposed to say? Go check me out on Instagram at not.so.obvious.watches. You'll see what I'm wearing on my wrist every day, and some other random photos. I'll see you later. Bye.